The first person who comes to mind when you think of Formula One is Lewis Hamilton. And guess what? His net worth is about $285 million. But how does the world champ spend his cash? Well, Hamilton's big on spending. As you know, the Englishman has become the face of Formula One. He's one of the best racing drivers in the world. The man's even got 7 world championships to prove it. Lewis has broken almost all of the Formula One records to date. He's one of a kind. According to sources, Lewis Hamilton's the 19th highest paid athlete of the year.
You're constantly having to battle those demons. But the great thing is you can always overcome them.
At the end of seasons, you think, and the question is whether you're willing to commit the time and the effort that it takes to be a world champion. I think a lot of people underestimate what it takes to be a world champion. And there are so many moving parts. It's not just turning up and driving the car. So yeah, the question is, do you want to sacrifice the time? Do you believe that you can continue to punch at the weight that you're punching?
You can let down a lot of people.
We're all there to do the best job possible.
Comes right behind Lionel Messi and LeBron James. Recently, the F1 racer signed a contract with Mercedes, which keeps him on the team till 2023. This contract is said to be valued at well over, get this, 147 million bucks. Looks like Hamilton is set for life. Turns out being the best racing driver out there brings millions to the bank. His vast net worth is a result of the 16 years he's dedicated to his glorious career. And I'm sure you're all eager to know what Lewis Hamilton does with all his millions. In fact, the million-dollar question is how Hamilton spends his cash. Well, let's find out. When you've made a ton of money working hard, you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Lewis's cash pays the bills for his luxurious and grandiose lifestyle. A rich Formula One racer like Hamilton must live in a grand house. And it's true, he owns some pretty luxurious properties. See, Lewis is no stranger to showing off his hard-earned millions. Aside from his F1 gig, which is ongoing, the Englishman also acts as the face of a number of brands. These include Tommy Hilfiger, Puma, Sony, Bell Helmets, Monster Energy, and Bose. The man earns over $12 million from his endorsement deals alone. And of course, with that bank, he drops millions on luxurious houses to live in. The F1 racer has bought a couple of impressive houses in the past. Insider sources say that the Silver Arrows driver is the homeowner of a penthouse in New York City. That property costs about $43 million. He's an Englishman, that much we know. So the Formula One racer also owns a $24 million mansion in England. Whoa, that's a lot of money to spend on a house. His mansion must look straight out of a movie. Lewis also owns a place in Monte Carlo, which is known as heaven for Formula One drivers. But it's not the only thing he finds solace in. As you know, Hamilton loves his motorcycles, and he's now fulfilling his dreams as a motorhead with all his money. On his 6th birthday, Lewis's dad gave him a remote control car. This got the young English lad absolutely hooked on motors. Even though his day job involves him driving the fastest machinery in the world that's worth millions, he still wants some expensive rides filling up his garage. And so, the F1 racer spends most of his money on an impressive stock of hypercars and supercars that are now tucked away in his private collection, a collection worth a grand total of 13 million pounds. The talented driver owns a couple of Mercedes-Benz models and 2 Ferrari LaFerraris, which are worth $1.56 million each. He also owns a $1.15 million McLaren P1, along with a variety of expensive bikes and other auto vehicles. Looks like Lewis Hamilton really is living the dream. I love that for him. But aside from that, Hamilton's also lucky enough to own one of the rarest Mercedes cars, the Mercedes-AMG Project One. This sleek ride costs a total of $2.72 million. Given that Lewis races for Mercedes factory F1 team, it's no surprise that he splurged to get his hands on the company's most incredible new machine. In recent years, Lewis has been pretty open about the fact that he rarely uses his private collection of cars. This is because the British racer has been increasingly becoming more and more climate conscious as the years go by. Recently, his only choice was to drive a few of the petrol-powered machines in his garage. Because of his interest in sustainable fuels and powertrains, it's only given that he was part of the production of the plug-in hybrid ride designed by Mercedes. Not to mention, he even tested the prototypes of the Mercedes-AMG Project One. This behemoth of a machine is capable of reaching a top speed of 220 miles an hour. Now, the initial deliveries of the ride were made in late 2022. There will only be a total of 275 Mercedes-AMG Project Ones, costing around £2 million each. And of these 275, Lewis Hamilton scored himself one, and another one for his father, Anthony Hamilton. And not just them, Lewis's former Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg also bought one. But this luxury car is not the only one nestled in his garage. Another one of the rides Lewis Hamilton owns is a 1966 Shelby Cobra 427. It's true that most of the British race car drivers' private collection comprises the latest, most cutting-edge machinery in the world, from some of the world's biggest supercar manufacturers. But he's also splashed his money to buy some classic bad boys, such as the 1966 Shelby Cobra 427. This ride is estimated to be around £4 million and is one of the most expensive rides owned by Lewis. He keeps the ride in Los Angeles and was frequently seen taking Nicole Scherzinger, his ex-girlfriend, out on a drive in this exotic machine when the two were a couple. To be honest, the longer Lewis holds onto the car, the more it's likely to increase in value. And in case you didn't know, Shelby Cobra prices are rising pretty fast. If he plays his cards right, Lewis's pension could be secured with just this one car. Speaking of his fancy classic cars, here's another one, Lewis Hamilton's 1967 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. This is one of the other classics owned by the Englishman. It's a close replica of the car Eleanor from the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. The F1 driver spent like $1.1 million just to get his hands on this impeccable machine. After this purchase, the 37-year-old race car driver had the ride tuned by an American body shop in order to bring it back to the sleek condition it's in right now. Now, Lewis Hamilton has not just splurged on cars. No, he's also a fashion icon. The British are known all around the world for their brilliant sense of fashion, and Lewis Hamilton just goes on to prove that. Simply put, the Formula One racer has a knack for fashion. He's been spotted by fans and paparazzi a bunch of times wearing expensive and fashionable attire. Not just that, but he's also often seen at fashion shows. Yeah, he's also attended Paris Fashion Week, as well as the famous Met Gala, and his wardrobe is full of sleek fashion wear that the Mercedes driver only pulls out on the most regal of occasions. But cars and expensive clothes aren't all that he spends on. The Formula One race car driver also owns a private jet. Now, as you all know, it's become a trend amongst the rich 1% to own private jets. From Tiger Woods to Cristiano Ronaldo, every top sports athlete owns one, and Lewis Hamilton is no different. The 7-time world champ owned a private flying machine that was worth around $25 million. That's impressive. In 2019, the sports star sold his private jet and spent the money trying to turn his house carbon neutral. And aside from cars, jets, and fine clothes, Lewis also loves to travel. He's used his millions to visit exotic places in the world and try adventure sports, like surfing and skydiving, truly living his best life, spending his many millions. Well, that's a wrap on all things Lewis Hamilton. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.